Hi, this is Shannon with Afterthoughts. Marquita's still trying to catch up on Arrow, so she will not be reviewing this show with me for the next couple weeks till she catches up. Hurry up, Marquita. Anywho, this is going to be a review for Arrow Season 2, Episode number 11, and this episode is titled Blind Spot. So we're going to jump right into a recap and what I think of this episode. So we first see Sebastian Blood at the mental institution, so we can assume that he's going to go see his mother, and threatens his mother, figures out what she told Laurel, kills her. Then we shoot to a flashback where Sarah, we find Sarah dealing with her problem because she kind of wants to still work with Dr. Ibo because she thinks that he's a good man, that he still can help get her off the island. So then we shoot back over to Laurel. Laurel, of course, the first time we see Laurel, she's popping her pills again. So every time in this episode we see Laurel, she pops a pill before we get into what she's going to do in the scene. So I thought that was kind of funny. So finally we're getting deep into her drug problem. So I think finally this is the fourth episode or third episode. We actually see the drug problem progress. So the hospital calls Laurel to let her know that Sebastian's aunt, who she asked them to follow up with her on any health issues that occur, Laurel asked the hospital to notify her. So they notify her that she has passed away, so she thinks there's something funny about that. She goes to see the mom 2 days later, or a few weeks later. Sebastian sees her and then she's dead. So she thinks there's something funny going on. And so Laurel tells Arrow, she explains to Arrow what her theories are, or the backstory on Sebastian and what his mother told her in the mental institution. So we shoot over to Roy, and Roy has decided to tell his little friend, his little alternative friend, the cute little girl with the short hair, I think her name is Sin, decides to tell her about his powers because he wants to tell someone. He's tired of dealing with this on his own. He can't tell his girlfriend Thea because he's afraid she's going to leave him. So he tells Sin, and now he's like, oh, I don't need the Arrow anymore. I can catch bad guys on my own, and I need your help. So help me find a bad guy. So now we're going to shoot to another flashback on the island where we find out the origins of this Sarah and Oliver relationship. Because at first I was really upset because I'm like, what a dirty whore. She pretty much deceived her sister. She went on some boat trip with her sister's boyfriend and then died as a result of it. And it's just kind of like you get what you deserve. But we didn't find out really that Sarah initially liked Oliver first and explained to Laurel that she liked Oliver first. And Laurel took it upon herself to almost steal Oliver away from Sarah. So we build a little bit of sympathy for the character Sarah and her actual affections for Oliver. So then we get deeper into the type of character, through exposition, the type of character that Laurel is. And we can see, well, for one, she's on drugs, she's erratic, and she's kind of a man-stealing, she's the man-stealing whore, I guess you could say. So we get a little bit backstory on that. Then as Oliver goes to sleep, she steals the walkie-talkie and starts talking to Ibo about some things. So Laurel needs to find this file on Sebastian from way back when, I guess after he shot find the file on the case where his dad was murdered. So unfortunately it happened almost 30 years ago, so it wasn't a computer system and Felicity was unable to hack into it, so they have to go to the actual archives and essentially get it by hand. So she enlists Arrow enlists Laurel to help him look for the file. So they get to the archives, get the file. They have a hard time getting out. The police show up and they get away just barely. And when Laurel gets outside, she finds the file empty. So now they're trying to figure out how to get the file. They go through all the security tapes. Felicity hacks into all the security files to see who stole the file before they can get to it, and unfortunately they have all been erased. So now we shoot back to Roy. He's on the hunt for a bad guy. and Sin finds him one, and he wants to use his friend Sin as bait. So apparently she knows of a man who gets prostitutes and pretty much slices them up and kills them when he orders them, or whatever you call it. So he uses Sin as bait, goes to Thea dresses her up, does her hair and her makeup and everything. And we shoot back to Oliver and crew, and he decides that he's going to go talk to Sebastian himself and try to fill him out. Back over to Roy and Sin, we see them doing their little sting operation. They find the lawyer. Roy pretty much beats him senseless, almost to death. And Sin's like, "What's wrong with you? You need to call the ambulance." They call the ambulance. This guy goes to the hospital. And we shoot over to Slade's office, and we see Slade has the file on Sebastian. It wasn't Sebastian who stole his own file. Slade went in and took care of business because he feels Sebastian can't do it. So he pretty much humiliates Sebastian, tells him he's pretty much, or he's essentially a F up. And then says he'll take care of Laurel. So we see Laurel's apartment, which Laurel enters her apartment, and it's completely ransacked. It's just things are destroyed, and it was the police who were there looking for drugs in her apartment. But I can't understand how not. Well, just for professional courtesy, you know, she is part of law enforcement as well, and they pretty much broke her things, flipped over everything, no professional courtesy whatsoever. And they find drugs, controlled substances. So they arrest her for that. Her dad, they give her a test. They find opiates in her system. Her dad's super disappointed, doesn't believe anything she says. She's like, "Don't you see it's Sebastian that's doing this to me?" And she just looks like a crackhead. So it's hard for anyone to believe what she's saying, especially even her dad. So the one person who's supposed to, you know, well, not believe everything you say, but love you unconditionally. He loves her, but he's just can't trust her at this moment because she's a junkie. And she's having all these wild accusations. So, finally we get her drug problem is exposed. So now maybe she won't be as annoying when she's on the up and up. So I can't wait to see that. Shoot to another flashback. We see Ibo getting in contact with, Sarah getting in contact with Ibo, talking to him. She decides she's going to stick with Oliver, and Ibo pretty much threatens her, you know. She turns the comm off, so now she's on the up and up with Oliver. Now we see Roy and his friend Sin go to visit this serial killer guy in the hospital. Thea shows up, not very happy. Roy's he's so angsty in this scene, and he's just, "I gotta go," and runs and goes and cries in the car. And Skull kidnaps Laurel, and this one was a funny scene because both of these characters have voiceover work or Darth Vader voices. So this whole scene in the cannery is just, "I'm gonna get you, no, I'm gonna get you." So it's a bunch of back and forth with the same type of scream, like the voice from Scream, the same type of voice. So that was pretty funny to me. Laurel shoots Blood at the last moment before he shoots Arrow. They take his mask off, and it's the arresting officer from her apartment, Officer Daly, I believe his name is. The DA shoot back over to Laurel and her issues. The DA, her friend from the DA, her colleague, tells her they have a severance package for her. They can't do this with her, so they fire her. So Laurel is jobless at this point. I gotta say, I really enjoy this episode with Laurel. I know it's terrible because all these bad things are happening to her, but now her character is just more and more interesting to me. So good job, writers. I was complaining last episode, so this episode, way to go. Way to turn it around. I thought the only way you can really make Laurel a better character is if we killed off Sarah, whom I like, and just made Laurel the canary. But I'm glad they're doing it this way, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Laurel's character. And so Oliver admits to being clouded by Laurel. He goes back to his crew, Diggs and Felicity, and is like, "I just went off and went after Sebastian Blood just based off what Laurel told me, and Laurel's a drug addict, so I have issues I have to work with myself, and it'll never happen again." So I see at this point he's going to second guess everything Laurel tells him, which sucks because she has a drug problem. but she's telling the truth. Then we see at the end, or the second to last scene, we see Sebastian really scared and we can hear Slade's voice talking in the background about what a mess up he is and everything, and then all of a sudden we just see just all these ninja moves, and Sebastian's men are cut down, and then we shoot to Slade finally dressed as Deathstroke with the mask and the uniform and everything. So that was pretty awesome to see that. So we finally get a good glimpse of Deathstroke, and then the very last scene we see Oliver as Arrow going to go talk to Roy, and Roy's still a Spitfire. He's just, you know, why don't you shoot me in the other leg? Why don't you shoot me in my heart? He's just so melancholy right now because he's going through these changes, and I guess it's supposed to represent some type of puberty for the WB fans. So sometimes the show can get a little WBE, but it is on WB. But I enjoy that the main characters are closer to the 30s, so I enjoy that part. But then we get to Roy, early 20s, angsty, you know, periods and life changes and whatnot. So Arrow offers him a job, not a job, but Roy's just like, well, I don't know who can help me, and Arrows explains to him, I can teach you how to control yourself, and I'll take you on, and I'm going to teach you some things. So now we see Arrow taking on Roy, and we are gonna finally get a Speedy or Red Arrow. So I'm excited. So let's see how this finally, Roy's story is moving along, Laurel's story is moving along. So I enjoyed that. We didn't see too much character development for Oliver anymore, but that's okay. I didn't miss it that much, and I was actually surprised I enjoyed this episode when it was so Laurel heavy. So good job, WB writers, and I will be giving this episode a B. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed finally seeing Roy step up to the plate a little bit. I'm excited to see his powers develop, and I'm excited to see Laurel's character finally develop into something that's more interesting and just not damsel in distress, whiny poo face. So super excited, and that will be the end of my review. Season 2, episode 11, Blind Spot, and this has been Afterthoughts with Shannon. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to write down below and I will respond back. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be seeing you later. Bye.